Hi, I'm Seb and I make stuff. On this week's episode, I'll be building this 3D model of fresh cut grass from Critical Role.
Hi, I'm Fresh Cut Grass.
With the third campaign kicking off recently and the introduction of the new characters, I instantly fell in love with Sam Riegel's Fresh Cut Grass. I'll let him introduce the character to you.
If you would like to describe yourself.
Sure. Wheeling into the room is a short automaton with yellow metallic skin, a cute little backpack, two big blue eyes of different shapes. He's got a wheel that he rolls around on. On his chest plate are four stripes that sort of look like blades of grass. Yeah, he's a robot. And as he wheels into the room, well, smiley day there. Hi, I'm Fresh Cut Grass.
If you're unfamiliar with Critical Role, they're a bunch of nerdy-ass voice actors that sit around and play Dungeons and Dragons for 3 to 5 hours a week, where lots of people like me tune in. They're next-level storytellers, their voice acting work is supreme, and all in all, they're just amazing to watch. Among the cast are a lot of industry-known voice actors, but in this particular case, we're going to be focusing on Sam Riegel and his newest character, Fresh Cut Grass. This build was a little bit unexpected. After I rewatched the first episode of Critical Role's third campaign, I jumped onto Thingiverse and I found a model of Fresh Cut Grass. Straight away, I knew I had to get it going. Once I'd scaled up and printed out the model, I started to chop him up and add some magnets onto the joints to try and add some articulation. This didn't work quite how I'd hoped. Unfortunately, the polarity of the magnets caused the arms to only be able to sit one way. In the future, I'll probably use a metal stem and a ball joint for the arm. Next up, he gets the classic prime and paint with a Fiddly Bits grey primer and a zenithal highlight with WRAITHBONE white from Citadel. To start off, I took a Citadel silver paint from the starter set and coated the entire model. I pulled him apart into his sections as to make it easier to handle. I then grabbed a Citadel contrast paint, GORE-GRUNTA brown. I used this for the backpack and straps. Now for the metallic yellow paint on Fresh Cut Grass. I mixed up a silver and yellow combination to my liking for the first layer, then came back in over the entire thing with a pure yellow. As I came through with the yellow, I made sure to keep comparing to the official art, to leave some chipping and weathering to the edges of the paint. I applied the base yellow over the entire model, everywhere that it appears in the official art. Once I was fairly happy with the yellow coverage, I moved on to the blue for the eyes. I also used this colour over the areas where he seems to have patched up armour of a different colour. This was the base coat, which I later came in with the grey, as I liked the blue undercoat of the grey. Once I was happy with the block colours, I wanted him to look more like a machine, so I came in for some recessed shading with the Citadel Colours shade, CRYPTEK's ARMOURSHADE gloss. Now for the wheel, I'm going to use a black leather to try and simulate a rubbery look. And now to add some more details with the 4 blades of grass on the model's chest. And then coming back in with a darker brown CYGOR 50/50 mix to add some more highlights and edges onto the backpack and straps. Now I came in with a Citadel gold to hit some of these joints on the inside, and this gave me a good level of differentiation between the internals and the outer areas of FCG. I wasn't entirely sure what to paint the wires on the top, so I just left them with the original spray and then hit them with a fairly decent amount of the CRYPTEK's ARMOURSHADE gloss and didn't wipe any of the excess away, allowing it to sit in the recesses more heavily but also colour the rest of the model. I did the same for the spokes of the wheel, as I realised I'd forgotten to add anything to them earlier on. Okay, he's starting to look like the right model now. I'm going to pick out a base and move on to the next stage. So I've printed these few Warhammer bases out, and the medium size seems to work right for me. I'm going to add some PVA glue and spread it out over the entire base before adding some sand and grit to give me my first layer of texture. So now I'm going to come in with my second layer of paint, adding the grey to the patched armour areas to cover the blue. I look forward to seeing what these small details actually say about fresh cut grass as this campaign continues. So I started with white and I just blended it with the original colour, slowly working my way up the eyes to try and give them a different kind of object source lighting reflection kind of a look, before coming in and touching them up with a blue glaze. This sat in the eye sockets beautifully and really gave that glassy effect nicely. Finally, I came back in with a pure yellow layer and touched up all the details and anywhere that I had missed or gone over the edges. Once I'd cleaned them up to my liking, it was time to move on to the base. Once I'd roughed up the surface with the Dremel, I got my model into place, double checked how I wanted him to line up, and added a pile of baking powder to my base. Again, lining up my miniature and pressing him into the baking powder, I then came in with some cheap super glue. You see, super glue and baking powder react together and instantly form almost rock hard. This stuff can be great for holding models in place and some of the more difficult models that don't like to hold upright. After cleaning a little bit of excess off the wheel, I sprayed the entire thing with a super glue accelerant just to speed up the process of drying. And right there is where my camera died. I was so caught up in the build that I didn't even notice. Basically what I did here was pile up a heap of the Tamiya Soil Effect brown texture paint and mixed a few roots that I found in the garden throughout to add a bit more texture. I wanted fresh cut grass to sit on my shelf, and as is my way, I love to fill a model with shrubs and grasses. So I grabbed every flower, shrub and bit of static grass that I could and just mashed it together. I hit the whole thing with an aerosol matte varnish. This will protect the paint from handling and allow it to sit there forever as it is on my desk. Finally, I came in with a little bit of a gloss varnish over the eyes to add back the reflection from the glass. I love this little guy. The articulation didn't quite work exactly how I'd hoped, but just the fact that he can move around is amazing. The base is a lot of fun. I may have overdone it, but the tire track is kind of perfect in my opinion. Thanks for watching this episode of Seb Makes Stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you to Critical Role for being a continued inspiration. And it's an honour to be a part of the Critter community. I'm going to leave you guys with one of my favourite lines from FCG, and is it Thursday yet?
My former associate gave me my name. She named all of her creations after her favorite smells.
Oh, that's lovely.
There was a bunch of us. There was me. There was oatmeal. There was apple pie. There was pussy. There was a bunch of us.
Wow.
It's so nice to see other people having to hear this. It's really just bringing everything into sharp perspective.
This has been a day.
That took me a bit by surprise.
This has been a day.
Wow, it was just thrown out there so quick.
Did you say send help?